I've been feeling uneasy about my company's future lately. My paycheck has shrunk significantly over the last 5 months, making me worry about job security. I meant to discuss this with you sooner, but I've sensed some awkwardness from you, making it hard to bring up. Despite our company facing challenges, it seems our focus is misplaced on just pushing through the work. Lately, you've hinted that our company might be in trouble, and unfortunately, it appears those concerns are valid. Even though I've overlooked personal aspects because of professional ties, given the current circumstances, I'm re-evaluating everything. Despite someone's skills and international upbringing, personal attributes and workplace dynamics are being scrutinized unfairly. It's disheartening to see how financial worries are affecting my personal life. My spouse and stepchild's demeanor changed drastically when they found out about the company's struggles. The harsh words and lack of support have been deeply hurtful, leaving me emotionally drained. It seems they're pushing for a separation, something I never wanted, but I'm prepared to accept if it comes to that. I'm Abigail, and for the past 3 years, I've lived in Minnesota, working for a graphics designer company managed by my father, the CEO. Contrary to what some might expect, I lead a simple life, focusing on my work rather than personal appearances or social interactions. My reserved nature has often made it challenging to connect with others, a trait that has followed me from my school days to my professional life. Despite my solitary tendencies, a chance meeting at a local bar led me to my husband. He was intrigued by my work in IT, though unfamiliar with my company. Our conversation revealed my role in procurement and sales, far from the glamorous side of tech, but essential nonetheless. This encounter, set against the backdrop of my usual solitude, highlighted a rare moment of connection in my otherwise reserved life. It's a reminder of the complex interplay between personal and professional worlds and the unexpected turns life can take. Navigating office dynamics can indeed be tricky, I mused to Bobby, who glanced at his watch and gently set his drink down. He mentioned needing to leave early, not yet 8 p.m., to prepare dinner for his daughter returning from her sports club. With no partner at home to share the responsibility, Bobby found an early exit from work gatherings, a convenient excuse to avoid any grievances. His humorous take on the situation made me chuckle, and his departing smile lingered as he excused himself to his colleagues. From then on, I found myself looking out for Bobby at the dart bar, and he always greeted me warmly upon arrival. Our conversations revealed more about each other. Despite working for a family business with international branches, I explained to Bobby that it was more of a mid-sized venture than the large conglomerate some imagined. Dart playing was never our activity of choice. Instead, we cherished our chats over drinks at a cozy corner of the bar. As time passed, our bond deepened, and we began seeing each other outside the casual bar setting, gradually evolving into a romantic relationship. As I neared my 40s, I found joy and excitement in this blossoming companionship. However, the bliss of new love wasn't all that occupied my thoughts. I knew forming a bond with Bobby's daughter, Lisa, was crucial. Lisa, at 17, was navigating the pressures of school and exams. My initial worries about our relationship were quickly dispelled by her open-hearted acceptance and curiosity about my life abroad. Our family dinners, filled with laughter and lighthearted jests, painted the perfect picture of domestic happiness. Our relationship with Lisa was flourishing, and 3 years into dating, Bobby and I decided to marry. The lead up to the wedding, particularly introducing our families and blending our diverse backgrounds, presented its challenges, especially with the cultural nuances and language barriers. Yet, the effort from both sides to embrace these differences was a testament to the love and respect we all shared. After the wedding, life with Bobby and Lisa felt like a dream come true. But as Lisa advanced to high school, Bobby proposed a change, recognizing the increasing demands on her time and the impact of our work schedules. He suggested that one of us should be more available at home to support Lisa through her crucial academic years, a notion reflecting the depth of his care and the evolving needs of our family. In moments of quiet, when we found ourselves alone in the living room, my husband and I would often delve into discussions about the future, especially concerning our family's needs and priorities. These conversations, while necessary, often led to postponed decisions, particularly on challenging topics. However, this time around, my husband appeared more resolved, prompting me to consider if we could afford to delay our decision-making until next 2 years, aligning it with Lisa's preparation for her university entrance exams. The dilemma at hand hinted at a significant change, either for me to leave my job or for him to seek a more flexible role to better support our home life. This situation was complex, leaving me torn on the best course of action. The plan we were leaning towards involved me continuing my work without change, given my higher income and significant role in my father's company, while my husband would look for a job with fewer hours. This arrangement, though practical given our circumstances, was a big ask, especially considering my husband's long tenure at his company. Despite the logical reasoning, I couldn't shake off a feeling of guilt for even considering asking him to make such a sacrifice. Yet, seeing his firm resolve made me realize I had underestimated his willingness to prioritize our family's needs over his career. Agreeing to his proposal, we decided to move forward with this plan. Our mornings would often start with a rush, checking if everyone had remembered their lunches. A small yet significant part of our daily routine, symbolizing the shift in our family dynamics. My husband, now working part-time and assuming more responsibilities at home, played a pivotal role in our daughter's academic success. Despite my initial reservations about his career change, it proved to be a beneficial decision for our family. 5 years on, reflecting on the changes, our conversations shifted towards more practical concerns, dinner plans, budget adjustments, and the noticeable decrease in my salary impacting our financial stability. My husband's concern for our financial well-being, especially with Lisa's tuition fees on the horizon, highlighted the sacrifices we were making, even in our meal choices. The shift in our family dynamics was palpable, not just in the material aspects of our lives, but in the emotional tone of our interactions. The once warm and supportive atmosphere had changed, with dinner reduced to bread, and our conversations turning to the practicalities of saving and budgeting. The change wasn't limited to my husband. Even my relationship with my daughter had become strained. Simple requests or daily routines, like taking a shower, became points of contention, revealing a deeper undercurrent of tension and misunderstanding within our family. These moments, once trivial parts of our day, now underscored the shift in our family dynamics, reflecting the challenges we faced in adapting to our new circumstances. As I navigated these changes, the realization of how much our family had evolved, both for better and for worse, became increasingly clear. The sacrifices made, the shifts in responsibilities, and the changing dynamics within our home were a testament to the complexities of balancing personal and professional lives, highlighting the need for understanding, communication, and adaptation as we moved forward together. Suddenly finding myself ousted from the bathroom before I had fully dried off, I hastened to dry myself, toss the towel into the laundry, and get dressed in the hallway. To my 18-year-old daughter, I might have seemed outweighed, a stark contrast to the days when she showered me with compliments. Now, those memories felt like they belonged to another era. Despite their harsh treatment, I hesitated to confront my husband and daughter, not wanting to exacerbate family tensions. But deep down, I knew my reluctance was rooted in my introverted nature, which made confrontation seem daunting, especially against what felt like a united front from them. In our current family dynamic, it felt as if my husband and daughter had formed an alliance against me, making it feel impossible for me to stand my ground. My fear of conflict and the prospect of feeling isolated led me to avoid addressing the issues head-on. When catching up with my parents over video calls, I'd put on a brave face, claiming everything was fine with Bobby handling household duties and Lisa attending college. These calls, once a source of joy, had turned into a painful exercise of fabricating stories to hide the reality of my situation. The thought of burdening my parents, who lived across the ocean, with my problems seemed too much to bear, so I kept my struggles to myself, swallowing the pain silently. I knew I should stand up to my husband and daughter, or at least share my burdens with my parents, but my introverted disposition made those steps feel insurmountable. Avoiding these confrontations and not discussing the real reasons behind the financial strains in our household only added fuel to the fire. Yet, there was a part of me that believed in the silver lining of inaction, hoping that problems might somehow resolve themselves. This hope seemed to materialize when my husband, after months of tension, initiated a conversation about the financial issues. Caught off guard by his sudden approach, I was reminded of the ongoing challenges we faced, including the potential jeopardy of my job and the resultant financial strain. My attempts to open up about these difficulties were met with immediate resistance, with my husband and daughter quickly jumping to conclusions and casting blame. As they stood together, seemingly united in their criticism, I felt overwhelmed and unable to interject. My introverted nature made it even harder to find my voice in the moment, leaving their hurtful words to hang in the air unchallenged. Their accusations, based on misconceptions about my contributions and the superficial reasons behind our marriage, were painfully unjust. It was a moment that starkly highlighted the complexities of navigating family dynamics, especially when faced with misunderstanding and misplaced expectations. Finding myself in the midst of a heated and hurtful exchange with my husband and daughter, their cruel words cut deep. They criticized me not just for my appearance, but also for my financial contribution, or the lack thereof, as they perceived it. Their expectations had been for wealth and beauty, and in their eyes, I had failed to deliver on both accounts. The disappointment and disdain they expressed were overwhelming, leaving me emotionally drained and without the strength to fight back. In a moment of clarity amidst their harsh criticisms, I realized they were pushing me towards a decision I had never wanted to make. They were effectively asking me to leave, to end our marriage and the life we had built together. My husband had left his job to support me, and now they saw me as a failure for not being able to uphold my end of the supposed bargain. My daughter's look of contempt and my husband's smug expression ignited a fury within me I hadn't felt in years. I couldn't remember the last time I had raised my voice in anger, but now, the injustice of their accusations pushed me to my limit. With a firm resolve, I decided to leave, to pack up my life and move on from the bitterness and betrayal. The divorce, complicated by our international ties, was straightforward in legal terms, and the settlement saw us each walking away with $10 million. This sum, which I had hoped would be used for my daughter's education, became a point of contention and regret, as I later learned of my ex-husband's deceitful actions. 5 months after the divorce, as my former company collapsed and I found myself back overseas, the distance did little to ease the sense of dislocation I felt. The idea of returning to the U.S. lingered, but it was a call from my daughter that brought the past crashing back. Her plea for help and apology revealed a shocking betrayal by her father. He had squandered the money meant for her tuition, demanding she take on the burden of his financial care as repayment for a lifetime of support. This manipulation was a new low, even for him, and hearing my daughter's regret and despair over her past actions and her father's demands left me shaking with anger. In this moment of revelation, my daughter's situation highlighted the extent of my ex-husband's selfishness and manipulation. Despite the distance and the pain of the past, my priority shifted to supporting her through this crisis, to navigate the fallout of his deceit and ensure her future was not compromised by his actions. As I listened to my daughter's apologetic words, my heart raced with a mix of emotions. She confessed how her father's negative talk about me had influenced her feelings, leading her to adopt his unjust criticisms. She admitted to being swayed by his derogatory remarks, but upon reflection, realized that her perception of me was skewed by his manipulation. Her apology, though sincere, highlighted the confusion sown by my ex-husband's deceit. Taking a moment to mute the call, I sighed deeply, grappling with the realization that my ex-husband had crafted a narrative painting me as the antagonist, coercing our daughter into a caretaker role based on falsehoods. His scheme became apparent. Initially, he had planned for our daughter to support him, but upon marrying me, he shifted his strategy, only to revert to his original plan once he presumed my financial stability was compromised by my company's status. The hurtful things my daughter said, under the influence of her father's manipulation, pained me. Yet, considering her age and the single-parent environment she grew up in, her susceptibility to his influence was understandable. In recognizing this, I could see she was another victim of his deceit, not just me. My resolve hardened, against my ex-husband for the anguish he caused both of us. My daughter's realization and apology brought some solace, and in that moment, I decided to let go of my resentment towards her, focusing instead on the source of our strife. I reassured her of my support, ending the call with a sense of relief that the daughter I knew, the kind, cheerful girl, was still there. Though my immediate anger subsided, my feelings towards my ex-husband remained unchanged. I awaited the day he would come to understand the full extent of his actions and the regret they would inevitably bring. That anticipation gave me a sense of forward-looking resolve. 5 months after this reconciliation with my daughter, it was my ex-husband who reached out in a state of confusion and frustration. He couldn't comprehend how, despite the supposed financial ruin following the bankruptcy of my company, I was able to support our daughter. His agitation was evident, and I seized the opportunity to correct his misapprehensions, while also savoring the chance to unsettle him further. I clarified the misconceptions surrounding the bankruptcy and my financial independence, explaining that the company's departure from the U.S. market was a strategic decision, not a failure. It was a move driven by economic considerations and future prospects in another country, not a downfall due to mismanagement. This revelation was meant to challenge his assumptions and highlight the flawed basis of his actions and expectations. Through this exchange, I aimed to set the record straight, not just for the sake of vindication, but to pave the way for a clearer understanding between us. Despite the challenges and misunderstandings, the focus remained on supporting our daughter and ensuring her well-being, free from the manipulations and falsehoods that had clouded our family's relationships. Our company has a system where pay is tied to workload, so naturally, when there's less work, the pay decreases. While other employees secured various guarantees to stabilize their income, I didn't bother with those because I was already eyeing a significant promotion within the company. My father's company, to be exact. This impending role change made the fluctuating salary a non-issue for me, explaining the gradual decrease in my earnings. Curious about my silence on this matter? Well, to clarify, I was on track to become the CEO of my father's company. Yes, you heard that right, akin to stepping into the role of a president. This revelation seemed to shock my ex-husband profoundly, leading to quite a dramatic reaction during our video call. I couldn't resist pushing his buttons a bit further, especially seeing his disbelief. I'm currently in the running for the CEO position, not quite there yet, but certainly on my way. The potential income at that level? We're talking billions annually. A figure that understandably seems outlandish even in the context of high earners. This conversation took an interesting turn when my annual income came up, speculated to be around $5 billion. This number is substantial by any measure, though it's worth noting that in the grander scheme of global CEOs, it's not unheard of. My ex's reaction to this number was a mix of disbelief and realization of what he'd overlooked. The reason behind my not divulging these details sooner was simple. Taking up the CEO role meant relocating, a complex topic that wasn't easy to broach, considering the misconceptions and mistreatment stemming from his assumptions about my financial status. After all, how could we discuss future plans under such strange circumstances? Realizing the magnitude of what he'd missed out on, my ex-husband's demeanor shifted from disbelief to a mix of regret and desperation. Despite his newfound understanding and the sarcastic jabs, I threw about his job struggles and the grim prospects of his career. After a 3-year hiatus in the fast-paced IT sector, he dared to ask for financial assistance akin to what I provided Lisa. Why should I extend help to him? Especially when he misconstrued my situation and contributed to our strained relationship. Nonetheless, as a CEO candidate, my earnings were indeed substantial, allowing me to support Lisa's education and living expenses, a commitment I made clear despite his earlier assumptions and our complicated past. I've made it clear to my ex-husband that I won't be extending any help to him. He can manage on his own, even if that means relying on fast food. It's ironic, really. When Lisa was collecting her belongings, she couldn't help but notice the evidence of his new, unhealthy lifestyle scattered in the trash. He's stuck in a job that drains him completely, leaving him no energy to cook or care for himself. It's sad, considering that having a family around could have made things somewhat easier for him. Despite his pleas for me not to leave him to fend for himself, I had to draw the line and prioritize my own responsibilities, ending the call under the pretense of work, despite the late hour. The time difference between us didn't seem to register with him in his moment of desperation. But after our conversation, I learned that the toll of his job, combined with a significant career gap, and his age, proved too much. He eventually had to quit and faced an even tougher job market. With limited options, he settled for a supermarket job, leveraging his past part-time work experience. Yet, this role brought its own set of challenges, including the harsh reality of having to learn new skills at 42 and facing disrespect from younger coworkers. His situation is a stark reminder of the harsh realities of life and the workforce, especially for those trying to make a new start later in life. My ex-husband's journey has been tough, with no family support to fall back on. Our daughter is focused on her future, thanks to the financial support I've provided, leaving no room for him in her life. As for me, I'm deep in the throes of preparing to take over my father's company as CEO. It's a challenging transition, filled with learning and adapting to new systems and overcoming various obstacles. Despite the pressures, I'm motivated by the prospect of visiting my daughter in the US once a year, a trip I eagerly anticipate. My next visit will be particularly special, as I'll be staying with my daughter, marking my first overnight stay in her space. These moments of connection with her are what I look forward to the most, serving as a reminder of the importance of family and the support we provide each other, even from afar.